September 11, 2001, dawned like any other day. The city of New York was waking up to what seemed like a typical Tuesday morning. The streets were beginning to fill with the usual hustle and bustle, as people prepared for another day of work, school, and daily activities. The sun shone brightly across a clear, blue sky. It was the kind of morning that made you feel alive, with the promise of a new day ahead. The weather was perfect, with not a cloud in sight, and the air was crisp and refreshing. People went about their daily routines, unaware of the horror that awaited them. The streets were filled with commuters, some grabbing a quick coffee, others reading the morning paper, all oblivious to the impending tragedy. In the bustling metropolis of New York City, commuters headed to their offices. The subway stations were crowded, and the sidewalks were packed with people moving in every direction, each with their own destination in mind. The Twin Towers, symbols of American capitalism, stood tall against the morning light. These iconic structures were a testament to human ingenuity and ambition, reaching towards the sky as if to touch the heavens. At 8:46 a.m., this tranquility was shattered. The world would soon witness an event that would change the course of history forever. American Airlines Flight 11, en route from Boston to Los Angeles, crashed into the North Tower of the World Trade Center. The impact was sudden and devastating, sending shockwaves through the building and the hearts of those who witnessed it. The impact, between the 93rd and 99th floors, sent shockwaves through the city and beyond. The sheer force of the collision caused an explosion that could be seen and heard for miles. Smoke and debris billowed from the gaping hole in the skyscraper. The once clear sky was now filled with thick black smoke, and the air was heavy with the smell of burning fuel and destruction. Confusion and fear gripped the city as people struggled to comprehend what had happened. The streets were filled with panic as people ran in every direction, trying to find safety and make sense of the chaos. News channels broadcast the horrifying images of the burning tower. The world watched in shock and disbelief as the events unfolded live on television, unable to look away from the tragedy. First responders raced towards the scene, ready to confront the unimaginable. Firefighters, police officers, and paramedics rushed to the towers, risking their lives to save others. Meanwhile, high above the ground, a terrifying scene unfolded on the hijacked flight. Passengers and crew were faced with an unimaginable horror as they realized the true nature of their situation. Passengers and crew, unaware of their fate, made desperate phone calls to loved ones. Their voices, filled with fear and uncertainty, painted a chilling picture of the chaos unfolding on board. Their voices, filled with fear and uncertainty, painted a chilling picture of the chaos unfolding on board. Each call was a heartbreaking farewell, a final attempt to connect with loved ones before the inevitable. Minutes after the first impact, a second plane, United Airlines Flight 175, also from Boston and bound for Los Angeles, slammed into the South Tower. The world was still reeling from the shock of the first impact when this second devastating blow occurred. This time the impact occurred between the 77th and 85th floors, unleashing a massive fireball. The explosion sent debris flying and ignited fires that would burn uncontrollably. The world watched in horror as both towers burned, a stark symbol of the attacks on American soil. Smoke billowed into the sky, visible for miles as the towers stood like wounded giants. It was now terrifyingly clear that America was under attack. People across the nation and around the world were glued to their screens, witnessing the unfolding tragedy. The nation held its breath, waiting, praying, hoping for a miracle that wouldn't come. Communities came together in their grief and fear, seeking solace in each other. The hijackers, part of the terrorist group Al-Qaeda, had meticulously planned their attacks. They had trained for years, learning to fly commercial jets and studying their targets. At 9:37 a.m., the unthinkable happened again. Another plane, this time targeting the heart of the nation's defense. American Airlines Flight 77, departing from Washington Dulles International Airport, crashed into the west side of the Pentagon in Arlington, Virginia. The impact was devastating, striking the building's first floor and causing a partial collapse. The impact, on the building's first floor, caused a partial collapse and ignited a raging fire. Emergency responders rushed to the scene, battling the flames and searching for survivors. The fourth and final plane involved in the attacks was United Airlines Flight 93, which took off from Newark International Airport, heading for San Francisco. Unlike the other flights, this one never reached its intended target. Its intended target remains unknown, but the bravery of the passengers and crew prevented another catastrophic attack. They fought back against the hijackers, forcing the plane to crash into a field in Pennsylvania, sacrificing their lives to save countless others. After a delayed takeoff, Flight 93 was hijacked approximately 46 minutes into its flight. The passengers and crew, learning about the attacks on the World Trade Center and the Pentagon through phone calls, decided to fight back. Led by a group of courageous passengers, they stormed the cockpit, determined to regain control of the plane. Their selfless act of heroism prevented the hijackers from reaching their intended target, believed to be either the U.S. Capitol building or the White House in Washington, D.C. As smoke and debris billowed from the Twin Towers, the world watched in shock and disbelief. The once towering symbols of strength and ambition were now engulfed in flames, a scene of unimaginable chaos and destruction. Firefighters and other first responders bravely raced into the inferno, their faces set with determination. They knew the risks, yet their sense of duty and commitment to saving lives propelled them forward. They climbed countless flights of stairs, their heavy gear weighing them down, each step a testament to their courage. The heat was intense, the smoke thick, but they pressed on, driven by the hope of rescuing those trapped inside. To reach those trapped inside, they navigated through the chaos, helping individuals who were injured or disoriented. Their bravery in the face of such overwhelming danger was nothing short of heroic. Their courage and selflessness saved countless lives. Many were carried to safety, their lives forever changed by the actions of these brave men and women. At 9:59 a.m., after burning for 56 minutes, the South Tower of the World Trade Center collapsed. The sound was deafening, a roar that echoed through the city. The South Tower's collapse sent a plume of dust and debris miles into the air, blanketing lower Manhattan in a thick, choking cloud. The streets were filled with chaos as people ran for their lives. The collapse sent a plume of dust and debris miles into the air, blanketing lower Manhattan. The air was thick with smoke and ash, making it difficult to breathe and see. The collapse of the South Tower was a devastating blow, a stark reminder of the power of the attacks. The landscape of the city was forever altered, a scene of utter devastation. The images of destruction were harrowing, a close-up of fallen debris that once formed part of the iconic skyline. The reality of the situation was almost too much to bear. Less than 30 minutes later, at 10:28 a.m., the North Tower also collapsed. The second tower's fall was equally catastrophic, sealing the fate of many still inside. The North Tower's collapse was a moment of sheer horror, a sight that would be etched into the memories of all who witnessed it. The skyline was now unrecognizable. The collapse of both towers resulted in a catastrophic loss of life, including many first responders who had rushed into the burning buildings to save others. Ground Zero became a symbol of both tragedy and heroism. Memorials for the fallen first responders began to appear, with firefighter helmets and gear left at Ground Zero. These tributes served as a poignant reminder of the bravery and sacrifice of those who gave their lives. The world watched in disbelief and horror, struggling to comprehend the magnitude of the tragedy. News broadcasts captured the raw emotions of those witnessing the events unfold. Struggling to comprehend the magnitude of the tragedy, people grieved openly at the 9/11 site. The emotional reactions at Ground Zero were a testament to the profound impact of the day's events on the collective consciousness. In the immediate aftermath of the attacks, the world came to a standstill. People everywhere watched in shock and disbelief as the events unfolded on their television screens. The attacks on September 11th were not just an attack on American soil, they were an attack on humanity itself. World leaders condemned the attacks and offered their condolences to the American people. The outpouring of support and sympathy from around the globe was a testament to the shared grief and outrage felt by people of all nations. Section 6. The War on Terror. The attacks on September 11th had a profound impact on American foreign policy. In the wake of the attacks, President George W. Bush declared a war on terror and vowed to hunt down those responsible. The U.S. government, with the support of international allies, launched military operations in Afghanistan and Iraq, targeting al-Qaeda and other terrorist organizations. The war on terror had far-reaching consequences, shaping global politics and security for years to come. The wars in Afghanistan and Iraq, while initially successful in toppling regimes, became protracted conflicts with significant human and financial costs. Section 7. A changed world. The attacks on September 11th had a profound and lasting impact on American society. In the aftermath of the attacks, the nation experienced a surge of patriotism and unity. Americans came together to support one another, to mourn the victims, and to rebuild their lives. The attacks also led to significant changes in security measures, both domestically and internationally. Airports implemented stricter security protocols, including enhanced passenger screening and baggage checks. The Transportation Security Administration, or TSA, was created in November 2001 to oversee airport security. The attacks also led to the passage of the Patriot Act, a controversial law that expanded the government's surveillance powers in the name of national security. Section 8. Remembering the victims. On that tragic day, 2,977 innocent lives were lost. Among the victims were citizens from over 90 countries, a stark reminder of the global reach of terrorism. The victims were mothers and fathers, sons and daughters, friends and colleagues. They were ordinary people going about their daily lives when their lives were cut tragically short. In the years since the attacks, memorials have been erected around the world to honor the victims and to ensure that their memories live on. The 9/11's Memorial and Museum in New York City stands as a powerful tribute to the lives lost and the resilience of the human spirit. Section 9. Hope endures. The attacks on September 11th were a stark reminder of the capacity for evil in the world. However, even in the face of such tragedy, the human spirit endured. The outpouring of love, compassion, and unity in the aftermath of the attacks gave us hope. First responders risked their lives to save others, demonstrating extraordinary courage and selflessness. The legacy of 9/11 is complex and multifaceted. It is a story of loss and grief, but also of resilience and hope. It is a reminder of the importance of unity, compassion, and the enduring strength of the human spirit. As we remember the victims and honor the heroes of that day, let us also reaffirm our commitment to creating a more peaceful and just world.